Good day, my name is Mark Malore. Got a number of clients in Hesperia dealing with corporate limited liability company setups. So I thought it helpful to put together a brief, quick video on some of the things I think you should consider before setting up a business entity for your particular line of work. What are those? Well, the first thing I think you need to look at is the tax liability your business is going to accrue. And so you need to consult with an accountant or a CPA about the best, most preferential tax treatment you can obtain once you set up a business entity and the proper business entity is set up for your line of work. Certain corporations have different tax consequences, and a limited liability company has different tax consequences than do corporations. So you want to make sure you set up the proper entity for the type of work that you're doing. For example, so many of my clients set up limited liability companies for real estate enterprises because of more tax favorability in doing so. With respect to corporate entities, there are two different types, C corporation and S corporation typically, and those are taxed very differently. With a C corporation, you're taxed twice. What do I mean by that? Well, the corporation is taxed on the income it derives from the work that it does, and then the individual is taxed, the shareholder is taxed from the income that the corporation devolves to the shareholder. So hence a dual taxation. An S corporation is taxed much like a partnership, much like an LLC, in which case there's only singular taxation. The corporate income flows through the corporation, gets expensed out in its various expenses, and then what's remaining gets put down on the K-1 on the shareholder's 1040 form, and the shareholder is taxed singularly on that at a lower rate. So you want to make sure that whatever enterprise you're doing, you get taxed at the most preferential rate for you. Now, why doesn't everybody choose S corporation? Well, there's some other requirements for S corporation. For example, you can't have more than 500 shareholders. Secondarily, you can't have corporate shareholders as an S corporation. So that's one of the things to make sure of. You can with a C corporation. In addition, there's some other deductions that are available in a C corporation that aren't available in an S corporation. But you want to speak to your tax professional about that. Those are some of the tax differences that you want to think about and talk to your accountant about in setting up a business entity with someone like myself. Now, secondarily, we look to the personal liability protection of the various business entities that we want to set up. The good thing about setting up a business entity in terms of personal liability protection is they essentially all have the same liability protection, with the exception of the collection of debt. Now, for example, an S corporation and a C corporation have the same liability protection as does a limited liability company. The real issue comes down to when someone wants to collect a debt and they get a judgment against you. With a corporate entity, they can attach the stock that you have because that's a tangible asset. With a limited liability company, all they can do is put the demand on the limited liability company. Until the limited liability company makes a distribution to the membership's shareholders, nothing can be attached. So no property can be attached, the corporation itself can't be attached, and so you have a distinction there in terms of the recoverability from a judgment lien. Other than that, they both have the same liability protection to protect you from, for example, them going after your personal assets like your home, your personal bank accounts, things like that. Those are some of the issues you want to think about and go over before coming to see someone like myself and setting up a business entity. If you have some questions or particular issues dealing with the business you're looking at, feel free to give my office a call and set up an appointment. I'd be happy to speak with you.